Well, we made our way to Clinton Township, Michigan, to Diamond Racing Pistons, one of the most famous piston builders there is in all facets of racing, particularly drag racing. Come on in. We got a lot to show you here. It's going to be fun. Well, we've caught up with the owner of this wonderful facility, and I got to tell you, Bob Fox, you've done a way of a job. There's some high-dollar equipment in this building.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And yes, there is.
Tell me this process that we're going through right here as we get started off.
Yeah, we're going to kind of look at the beginning of the operation. We have a variety of forgings. We have a variety of mubs, we call them, where we do it right from billet. But initially what we do is we qualify the part, and we put the first operation in it, which is in this case the pin bore, and everything works off of that location and that pin bore all through the shop.
So not only do you have the billet opportunities, but you also have castings that you would purchase from a vendor then as well.
We do. We have forgings, and those are our designs, and they're proprietary to us. Right. And we have a couple of companies that do that forging work for us, and we stock those, and those are ready to go. The billet is our more custom stuff.
I know on some machines that you generally have a piston in at a time. We're looking at one right now that looks like it could have, maybe 2 or 3 or 4?
Well, we do, and then we try to go as high as 10 parts in a single fixture, and then all the way down to 1 in some areas.
For the most part, unlike the old days when you bought a set of pistons, it generally was 8. That's pretty much a thing of the past anymore.
Yeah, I mean, typically on a custom piston, the guy would buy 10 pieces.
Yeah, he wants them 2 extras.
Yeah, he wants 2 pieces.
That's pretty cool. So right now, again, has the pin bore been established at this point already then or no?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll look at the CD height, and we'll put that pin bore in where it needs to be based on the fixturing.
So is this the way the thing will then come out of this phase? Oh, no, it's getting ready to get the pin bore.
No
okay, I got you.
This rough bores that hole in it for us.
I got you. And then from that point, and just so you know, Jimmy, as we look at that, the pin bore is actually for the wrist pin that goes and hangs on the end of the connecting rod. Some folks, that may not be mechanically inclined, that is exactly what that is. Am I right about that?
Correct.
Coolio. Well, we get that part of it figured out. Let's continue on and make our way down. I couldn't help but notice that size-wise, you go from small to massively huge, everything from diesel to, to me, what appears to be almost a small block Chevrolet Sportsman type of.
Yeah, 4-inch bore was always your typical in our industry, but, we do diesel stuff, 6-inch diameter now, and we do a lot of really small stuff for some of the off-road stuff. That gets down to, even some of the Briggs & Stratton stuff they use in some of the junior dragsters.
Oh, you're really into that too?
Yeah, we do a little bit of everything.
I never would have guessed that to be a market to the way it turned out. I was one of the guys that very first built one for my son in 1993, and I never guessed it would have turned into what it has today.
Oh yeah, they're in all the way with that deal now.
Billet blocks and motors that cost $13-14 grand.
That's crazy, but those are basically Briggs & Stratton designs, and yeah, we're involved with that for sure.
That's very cool. So this machine, as we take a look at this, and this is an Okuma brand here. It looks like some of these are fairly new pieces right here.
Yeah, they are, and we've been working with the Okuma brand, and that's kind of where we're at now. And this stuff is fairly new, yes.
As we walk along here, and of course we take a look at what I consider to be one of the smaller ones, then we kind of get over in this area here. Is this still considered to be a smaller piece, or are we getting into the bigger stuff?
Right now we're looking at what we call our billet department, where we rough out all of our billets. So this starts out with a solid piece of aluminum, right. And we develop out of a billet what would appear to be like a forging.
I got you. So what may start out as 3 pounds as a number. What would be the rough number?
Yeah, you're looking at typically starting out with on a billet maybe 5-pound piece, and you get it down to 500 grams.
That's what I thought. That's pretty cool. Pretty amazing. Who would have thought that? We run primarily at PDRA, obviously Pro Nitrous and Pro Extreme stuff, and of course the bore space and what we're going through now. Who would ever guess the Pistons would have got to that size 15 years ago?
Yeah, when I first bought this company in 2000 and I was designing fixtures, I designed everything for a maximum of 5-inch. That gave me more than ample room, I thought. We've had to go back and redesign a lot of that fixturing because we're growing out of the 5-inch range for sure.
This company, as a company, goes back to the days of, gee whiz, Don Carlton and Diamond Racing Engine and those components a lot of years ago.
Yeah, they did. They built a lot of the first Pro Stock engines for a lot of the top runners, you know, and it's kind of exciting that we're still as involved in Pro Stock racing as we are today. Kind of neat to the heritage, and we're still continuing that.
Oh, that's cool. Let's continue on if you don't mind, because I know you're under pressure a little bit here today.
Yeah, over here we're doing primarily the conventional style manufacturing, which we do. In each department you'll have a dome department, you'll have a pin bore department, and we'll have the undercut and the turning department. And that's just traditional way of manufacturing apartment. You'll go through those different stages until it's a completed product. That takes several days to get through this process over here.
So for the most part, you'll have I'll call it a crew member or an employee, whatever, that this area is his area. Is that right? I mean, obviously maybe a first and second shift, but these workers or whatever you want to call it, employees, pretty much stay with the same equipment. Am I right or wrong in
They
there?
do, and they would specialize in this. Here we're in the dome department, and then all of the domes, these guys would just do the dome portion of it, and they complete that on a daily basis, and then it goes handed off to the next department.
That's really, really cool. If you don't mind me asking, as we look back in here, what type of piston are we looking at here? The only reason I ask because I'm looking at worksheets and that type of thing.
Yeah, we're kind of in the Pro Stock area now, where we would do the dome work for the Pro Stock stuff. And we treat the Pro Stock stuff a little bit differently, and then we complete all that kind of one-off on a machine, and that stays right in this area and gets all of the ops completed on it in this area.
I know that having been involved with 500 cubic inch Pro Stock stuff from many years ago, that it's probably the most secretive class in the sport of drag racing, period. So is that a type of thing that you get to a certain point, but they still massage them maybe a little bit when they get to the house, I assume? I don't know.
We do them pretty complete, and that is an area that you have to be very careful with. We've had a long, personally, I go way back with a lot of the NASCAR teams, where we do our valve train stuff. So I'm kind of used to working in that area where you just can't say.
Area of secrecy.
Yeah, and it's critical.
Yeah, very critical.
Yeah, they spend hours and hours developing this stuff. It's just not our job to spread that around.
Absolutely. And I must tell you, in all of our tours that Jimmy and I have been doing, whether it's been to a chassis shop where someone didn't want you to see the down tubes, or a chassis shop where they cover the back half of the race car, you know what I mean? It's the same thing all the way around. They've got their advantages. They've worked hard to get there, and they deserve their just due, I guess, if it comes right down to it.
Yeah, they do. If they're willing to share that information with us, we have to treat it as carefully as they do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's critical. Once you lose that credibility, you're probably not long for this industry in a Pro Stock.
Exactly right. What do we got going on this way?
Well, we've gone into the pin bore department here, where we've gone into the next operation, and they're completing the pin bores and the whatever oiling and required through the pin bores.
Do pretty much all pistons anymore? I remember the day when we first started gas porting pistons a lot of years ago. Is that still something that is very common?
Yeah, with the stuff that we do, it's real common, and with the smaller rings that they're using, it's really critical. You know, when you have the bigger rings, it's not as effective. So, boy, they're using some really, really small rings now. So gas porting's huge, and we look at that carefully.
Very nice. That's pretty cool. That's a small piston there. Somewhere down the way, I got to ask you this question while we're right here. Now, this is probably a very unusual piston to me. It almost looks like it's something out of a diesel or whatever. Am I right?
That is a diesel piston, and we've been working in that area, and we're pretty excited about what we're seeing in that whole diesel market. And we're doing those pistons. We're hard anodizing them. We've been working with the diesel people and some valve train stuff for a few years. Piston thing's kind of new to us. It's exciting, and you're going to see more out of Diamond Diesel in the future for sure.
I got to tell you, I would have never guessed it either 20 years ago or even 10 years ago, but it has really, really, really taken off. Yeah, I mean, the wild part about some of these diesel trucks is that these folks can drive them on the street and then turn around and take them to the pull in the same weekend.
Oh, it's crazy, you know, and originally they were just tuning these trucks, and then we started doing some valve train stuff. Now they're doing full builds. Yeah, we're into full builds, and some of the events they hold are amazing.
Yeah, I actually go and actually call a few of them. And in fact, my hometown of Peru, Indiana, we got a couple very serious pullers there that are deeply involved with the process and with the trucks. Tell me what this young fella's doing right here on the drill press.
He's doing some manual connecting of the oilers for the pin boss. That's the only operation we do manually anymore. We got some new equipment we're going to share with you here in a minute, and it eliminates all the manual operations. We're going to work our way over there.
Okay. Well, this is like the medical room here.
Yeah, we're doing some diamond honing of the pin bores here. And we basically take the board finish and we diamond hone that to a mere finish to give you the pin bore, the final pin bore dimension.
So those actual holes that we saw the young man doing there a moment ago, are they in here already then or no?
Well, they are. We do the initial hole, which is a rough deal. Then when it goes over here, it's done with a boring bar to correct the drilled hole. And then we bring it in here to a diamond hone where it's finished to even a closer tolerance.
I got you. Okay, I got you. Yeah, just like line honing a block going, you're just line honing the piston pretty much, right? I mean,
yeah, and that's a diamond hone there, and it leaves just a brilliant finish in that pin bore.
Unbelievable what it's come to. And there's about every different kind in here. I mean, they must all make their way back here eventually, or a good portion of them.
Yeah, some of the customers still do their finished pin bore themselves and fit that stuff. So for the most part, we do that.
I gotcha. So this, I don't even know, but I guess I'm looking at an area that, are we getting close to completion back in this area or no?
We are. This is a wash machine, and these things are being finally washed, and then they will go to our other facility where we're going to hard anodize these. Everything you see on this rack is diesel pistons.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
And they're being washed and being prepared to send over for hard anodizing.
The hard anodizing, when you do the hard anodizing, what is the true? I mean, I know that it used to be partially to do with friction. Is that still the case, or is it more to retain the longevity of the piston?
Well, it's a heat barrier, and it's used strictly for that, and it's the same process that we would do on a top fuel piston, and it changes that surface of that aluminum. It's not a coating; it actually changes the surface of the aluminum, and that gives it a heat barrier. So it's primarily a heat barrier.
You got a lot going on here, man. What is I have to assume, since it's that time of year, that this is your busy time of the season.
Yeah, we're right in the middle of it.
Right square in the middle of it.
Yeah, we worked 7 days a week last week.
So you're not in a position where you could just literally warehouse much stuff. For the most part, it's fit to order or that type of thing.
So much of our work is custom, and that's because of all the different cylinder head manufacturers, all the different rod lengths, all of the different ring combinations. It's just really hard to combine all that and put it on a shelf for a guy. The goal here is to get it to them in a delivery time that's acceptable to the customer. That's one of the biggest challenges we face, is getting them a custom piston in a time frame he can live with.
And then throughout the course of the season, I'd be faking if I didn't tell you that at PDRA in the Pro Nitrous category, these guys run them so much on the jagged edge that we see a number of times where they're having to put 1 or 2 or 3 in between rounds.
Yeah, we've always, as a piston manufacturer, we've always been fond of the nitrous guys because one false move and they need a set of pistons. I mean, our fault.
No, I know. The world champion changed a bundle of them this year. I know that.
Oh yeah. No, they're hard on equipment, and
But they were the first over 200.
Well, they are. It just makes unbelievable power.
Again, we're down through here with some late model equipment here.
Yeah, this is the newest area we've been working with this, and we've been working on this project for a while with conjunction with some of the manufacturers of the equipment. This is kind of a new way for us for sure to produce these pistons. And what this allows us to do is avoid a lot of the steps we've seen earlier. They're all done in one piece of equipment. If we put a piece of forging or billet in one of these machines, we get all the ops done without handling it. And that gives us a more precise part, and it gives us a shorter lead time because it goes right on through that deal.
So what you're basically saying is, instead of going from step 1 to step 2 to step 3, this baby's turnkey for the most part.
It is, and it's all Windows-based, and we can save all that data for years and years and years. Pull it down. If a guy has a remake, one of your typical customers says, I need 10 more or 20 more of this, we can pull all that data up, make some quick changes without going through all the paperwork, and just start his order right away. And once we start an order in this department, it's finished pretty quickly.
Send that type of thing from the engineering department out to the automated department pretty much, or it's on a roll of film or whatever, that type of thing.
Yeah, if we're remaking a part for a customer or something that's similar to what we've already made, this really lets us cut to the chase and get started on that project, start making ships much earlier.
That's really cool. And then it also kind of would be an easier way for you to get to more into the, how would I call it, the production line type thing for the novice or the home build guy, let's say, was going to try to mail order an engine build himself.
Yeah, when we initially looked at this equipment and purchased it, it was like, oh, that's good. That'll give us a product we can sell to those people because it's much more automated.
Right.
And that was the marketplace we were looking at. We got into it, we realized how good this equipment was and what it was really capable of. It opened up a much bigger arena for us in addition to that. So we're pretty excited, and this is a big investment in our future here. This is the heart of the business. This is where we do all the manufacturing.
I got to tell you, I cannot thank you enough, for in more ways than one, for not only what you do here and for the racing community in general worldwide, but what you do for us at PDRA as well. We are extremely grateful.
Yeah, we're all racers in one way or another here, and we're all participants, and you know, we don't have anybody looking over our shoulder counting the beans. I'm the bean counter, and I'm more concerned about getting these products out and being a part of this industry than I am the bottom dollar. So we reinvest a lot of money in this company.
That's very good. Bob, I can't thank you enough. Once again, on behalf of PDRA, and I know you're busy, and I know you got to go catch a plane within a half hour, and it's going to take more time to have to get there. But again, our thanks, and we'll check out the engineering department and continue on.
Take a look at that. Mike will show you through that, and there's some neat stuff going on up there as well.
You're watching PDRA TV.